Do you own an Evo? Are you thinking of buying an Evo? Do you like Evos? Have you ever owned an Evo? Have you ever seen an Evo? Have you ever even thought about one? If you have, don't watch a different video. Watch this one. Something that is known as Mitsubishi's biggest failure, but also their biggest success, is the AYC pumps on the Evos. Now, why would I say it's their biggest success? Well, they're renowned for their handling, they're renowned for the way they handle corners, and that is thanks to the active center diff and active yaw control. But why would I say it was Mitsubishi's biggest failure? Well, it's probably, out of all the components on the car, probably the one that's going to fail the most often. If you go through any Facebook page, any forum related to Evos, you're going to see people asking about AYC issues, and the AYC service light has come on the dash. So I'm going to basically discuss whether that reputation is justified, the reputation that they're unreliable and they always break. And if you are in a position where your AYC bumper's broke, I'm going to give you some advice and tips on what options you have to sort of rectify the situation. Okay, so firstly, are they actually as unreliable as people say? Well, my car's 11 years old, my Evo 10, and that's probably one of the newer Evos that you're going to get in the UK. And for the pump to survive till now, I don't think that's unreasonable for it to last 11 years. You know, any Evo that's not a 10 is going to be even older again. So if you say having an Evo 5 that's 26 years old now, you know, a moving part is going to have a failure, isn't it, at some point? So I don't think that's really justified. But why do they even fail in the first place? Well, they basically fail due to the location that they're in. So here we have my car, which is looking quite nice, if I say so myself. It's had its first wash in 5 months. And if we go under the back wheel, this is where the AYC pump would usually be located. Now, obviously, when the previous owner removed it, they never put it back on, and that's how I bought it. And they've just put a glove over some of the lines to sort of stop debris going back in them. So really, all that gunk that is going to be flicked up by this wheel over years of driving is all going to be getting flicked up onto a sensitive electronic device. And it's no surprise that a little bit of water will get in and cause corrosion. Okay, so here we have an AYC pump, which is not the one that came with my car. If you have watched my previous videos, you'll know that it was actually damaged from when someone tried to, they sent it off for repair and they decided they couldn't afford it. And when they sent it back, whoever took it apart didn't take a lot of care with it. Anyway, that pump was absolutely wrecked by whoever dismantled it. So I bought this off a crashed vehicle. Well, as you can imagine, this car, this is under the behind the back wheel, and you've got water flicking up on a road debris, road grime. And basically, a very simple explanation of what goes wrong is water gets in this gap here and in this gap here. And what it actually does is, this oxidization, this white stuff that you can see, well, it actually swells in here. And it, like on an absolute smallest scale you can imagine, it actually gathers in between the mating surface of these two castings, and it will push them apart ever so slightly. And what that will do is, there's an actual plate in there, and it pushes the plate away from the pump, and it can create an internal oil leak. So it leaks from the high pressure side to the low pressure side. So put simply then, in order to fix this, we have to take it apart, clean all the oxidization off, and replace the alloy plate that's on the inside. That's one way that we can fix it. Another fault that does sometimes happen is these motors will stop working due to the location. And usually that would be the end of the world. You would have to basically get rid of the pump and go out and buy a replacement. But there are people out there who can rebuild these motors, and there are people out there that can provide you with a kit that you can actually rebuild this pump. So what are your options if you find yourself in a similar situation to me? Well, you can replace the pump if you want to. The cheapest place I found a brand new pump was actually Indigo GT, and they sell the pumps for about £1,700, depending on whether it's on offer or not. At the moment it's on offer. I think it's about 1,670 quid, something like that. I've been speaking recently to Evolution Hydraulics, and they've been providing me with some advice on how I should proceed with my situation, and they're actually really helpful. So if you're stuck, I'd recommend getting in touch with them as well. And I spoke to Dan at Evolution Hydraulics, and he said that in order to rebuild your pump, so if you was to send him your pump and he would rebuild it, it would cost between £500 and £1,000. That's already a saving of between £700 and £1,200 of buying a new pump. Now, another thing that Dan also told me about was the rebuild kits. Now, Evolution Hydraulics, they actually make a rebuild kit. So you don't actually have to pay someone hundreds of pounds for the monotonous task of rebuilding this pump. It's not complicated, it's just time consuming, so a lot of money goes into labour. So if you are confident enough to rebuild it yourself, you're only looking at around about £70 in parts. So we said earlier that the motors are also a common fault, especially on the Evo 10 for some reason. If your motor's gone and you think that internally your pump's fine, well, actually Evolution Hydraulics, they can actually rewind your motor, so they can do a full recon on that, and that is about £200. So let's say worst case scenario, you're going to do everything DIY. Worst case scenario, your motor's burnt out and you have oxidization on the pump internally. You're looking at a maximum price of £270 plus postage going to Evolution Hydraulics. They are actually kind enough, once I mentioned I'm making a how-to guide for my subscribers to have the confidence to rebuild their own pump. Once I said that, they're actually kind enough to send me out a rebuild kit, and they're actually supporting me in this video. So that's really nice of them to do that, both for you and for me. So check out their website, Evolution Hydraulics, and I'm sure they'll appreciate you going over. And also, you know, we're saying thank you back to them for helping us to do this. Now, the kit that they've actually sent me out, it comes with this this flange plate here. Actually, I'll set it out on the bench, it'll be easier. So this is the rebuild kit. Here's the flange that actually is the bit that oxidizes and causes problems. Also, we have new bolts just in case you need them, which you probably will, and also new O-rings, which is a good idea to replace while you're in there. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video and you have learned something. I know that if I had managed to watch a video like this 5 months ago when I bought this car, it would have saved me a lot of research and a lot of bugging people on the Facebook groups, for the Evo groups. So yeah, hopefully you have liked this video. Check out Evolution Hydraulics and drop a like and a comment down below if you have found it helpful. Cheers.